Welcome to this new episode of The Disabled Life. The purpose of this podcast is to tell people how I live my life. The name I'm using on the podcast now is The Disabled Guy, because I felt that you needed to hear something as opposed to just my voice there. I'm a disabled male living in Florida with cerebral palsy. I'm here to tell you how I live my life and some of the volunteer work that I do and how I managed to do it with cerebral palsy. Without further ado, let's go into the episode. Well, in order for this episode to make sense, I have to give you a bit of a backstory. Okay. I am the older brother. I have a younger sister. She was in high school when I turned 18 through 21, I'll say that. So I would hang out with her. I would hang out with her at the house, of course. Sometimes I would go out with her and hang out with her and her friends. So one of the things that I would never done, because I never did or I would never do, is because I felt that if I would do this, I didn't want to push anybody into anything. So, she would ask me when I wanted to go out with her. And of course, I wanted to hang with my sister. Which that was, I did that for a while and that was okay. So I'm like, but I knew at a certain point that was going to stop. So what I decided to do is, okay, let me not. And so what I did is I never asked her. She would always ask me, we'd go do things. Okay, so now here comes a piece of advice again. What happened was, all of a sudden one day, my mom, bless her heart, I appreciate her for this because she did not know my thoughts on this, and it's something that I was never planning on talking to her about. Sorry. So one day she says to me, "Oh, your sister's gonna stop hanging out with you." I'm like, and I just didn't. I said, okay, I understand that, but that's as far as I went. I didn't take it. I didn't go any further because I didn't. It's sometimes when depending on how you react to something, it may seem defensive to the person, even though you are not being that way. So my piece of advice is, when somebody gives you a piece of advice as a disabled person, my opinion is just take it. Just listen to it. If you need to take it, take it. And that may, if you're not thinking something, take it. But in my case, she gave me the advice, and I, listened to it. I said, okay. But in my heart, I knew what I was going to do. So, it happened where, obviously, she was right. And I knew it was going to be right. All of a sudden, I stopped hanging out with my sister, and that was okay. That was fine, because I knew that was a stage of her life. And there's a stage of my life too that was going to change. It's fine. I have no objection to that. So what I'm saying is, when somebody gives you advice that you don't need, or don't want, let's say not don't want, don't need. In my case, it was don't want, don't need, because I felt and I knew what to do with that. My opinion is let them tell you. It doesn't hurt, because they don't know what you are doing, what you're feeling. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know how you're gonna react. So I say to most of you, I said, okay, because as disabled people, our lives are different than the able-bodied people. I'm not saying normal people, because we're normal too. I used to say normal, and that would freak some people out. So I decided I'm going to change that into able body and disabled. even though I feel that we in the community, in this disabled community, are not disabled. We're differently abled. We do things a different way. We may have to use adaptive equipment to do the same thing you do, and it's fine. That's what we're on this world for. We're on this world to learn how to navigate the world. I say that, navigate the world, because I navigate the world differently than a person that's able-bodied. I have to use a wheelchair to go for distances I don't need to. A lot of people don't, and I agree. It's not something that but also it's the reason I gave you the advice is because I know that a lot of people get angry when people say, "Oh," and then when they know it's that way, or they may not want to admit that they don't know. So let me say this: it's important, honestly, to hang out with your able-bodied siblings if you have them, but also understand that life changes. They change. They have boyfriends, girlfriends, etc. I can't. But this day and age, I don't know what to say about that. So those things happen. We all go through stages in life, and that's a stage in life that I went through. So when your parents or caregivers think, okay, let me say this, I just listen to it and let it go as they're talking. It doesn't matter to me because it's something that didn't bother me. It's something that I knew was happening, and I respect that. I'm not always gonna go like I used to go. Oh, I already know that. Oh, well, I understand that. No. That sounds defensive. That honestly does sound defensive. So it's on you how you want to deal with it. But my opinion is just follow it. Just listen to it. It doesn't hurt you to listen to somebody's opinion. It does not. Another thing I'm gonna say. When my sister came, she was in the military. I'm not gonna say where she is, so I'm not gonna say any more about that. But she came home for a long period to stay with us, and she came into the house, and I knew for a fact, hey, if she has company and the door is closed, leave that alone. I didn't leave that alone. I wouldn't even go near that. And so Mom, bless her heart, says to me, don't knock on the door and the people there. I'm like, because for the TV, I said, no, that one I did say, no, I'm not going to. Because I know how awkward that's going to be, and I'm not going to push that. I understand. I understand the world, and I understand that's a no-go. So, I'm just making those two, and it's not something that I needed, but it was something she wanted to do because she didn't know, and I respect that. So a lot of times I will do it. I'll listen out of respect and say, I don't need information. I'll give you another example. When I was small, when I was a teenager, I would say to them, I already know this, and it wouldn't cause conflict, but it would annoy them because they thought I was just stopping them from talking, which I did not mean. I didn't mean it that way. Honestly, I meant it because I already knew. So I said, why listen to it again? But I'll say the word but what I'm saying to you is, so to them it felt like I was interrupting them or something, and I know that I wasn't doing that. To avoid a conflict, I decided not to avoid a conflict. I decided just to from that. It took me a while to figure out what was going on, but when I decided, the thing just changed. Another thing that I'm gonna say is this. Okay, we would sorry about that when my cell phone went off. So I would ride with a friend of mine to a meeting, which I no longer go to. I don't know if the meeting exists. So I would tell my mom. It was my mom because she was helping me. I would tell her a number of times that person was going to come pick me up. So till one day she says, "You worry too much." And I'm like, "What is she saying?" And she said that, and I go, okay. And I finally figured out what it was. It was that I kept reminding her. So when I figured what the situation was, I said, okay. So I would only say it once, and I explained to her. It's just something I explained to her. I honestly explained to her what was happening. And I don't know if she understood or not, but we didn't have. But she stopped saying, "Oh, you worry too much," because I stopped doing that. So what I say is, sometimes we do things and we think we're doing the right thing, but we might be doing the right thing, but people misconstrue what we do or say. It's kind of frustrating, because instead of talking to you and asking why you telling me this a number of times, and instead of saying, "Oh, you worry too much," no. My feeling is that the best way of dealing with this is to ask the person, "Why are you doing this?" So that's I said it was gonna be one, but it turned into two pieces of advice. Now I'm gonna make an announcement here. Don't worry, my podcast is not ending, but I need a break. This is coming out on Saturday. Don't know what date that is. I have to look at the calendar. I'll find out. I'll be back the Wednesday. I'm gonna take Thanksgiving off, Thanksgiving week off, and another week off, and just have 2 weeks where when I'm not doing any podcasting related things, promotion, etc. Because I've been doing this for a long time, solidly without a break, and I do need a little bit of a break. But I also don't want to take too long a break, because I feel that it will affect my listenership. Sorry. And so I'm going to take a week off now. I'm going to do this one today, take Thanksgiving off, spend with my family. Just take the next week off and be back on a Wednesday. In closing, let me say thank you for listening to this episode of The Disabled Life. You can follow me on the following platforms. You can follow me at Good Pods. You can leave comments, messages there. You can also follow me on Twitter at The Disabled Guy. And you can also listen to me on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and many others. Once again, thank you for listening, and I'll also give you my email. My email is Kilo Echo 4 Kilo Echo Yankee, or KE4KEY@gmail.com. Once again, thank you, and thank you for your support, and I'll see you next week. When I did this outro, I did not know that people could leave me messages and ratings on Spotify. Please do that. Please do those.